Hi everyone. So full disclosure, this is not the video that I was planning on filming for you today. As I mentioned in our last video, I was planning on filming a video where we were doing some online plant shopping, primarily because I did just receive this Vita grow light bulb from Soltech, and I had mentioned to you guys that I wanted to put this in the spotlight over my mantle, and my goal or plan has been to get a philodendron palmanii to put up on my mantle. That's why I needed the grow light bulb for that light fixture. However, I had an unexpected start to my day on Wednesday that basically threw a wrench into all of my plans. So let me explain. So basically, you guys, I woke up Wednesday morning and pretty much almost immediately lost my job. That's right, lost my job, totally unexpected, out of nowhere. I mean, once again, not how I was planning on starting my Wednesday morning. So that just kind of happened, and then I was just kind of left there, sitting there like stunned. And obviously, since I don't have a day job anymore, we are not going to be spending money on plants. Now, ironically, when I am kind of down, and obviously when you lose your job, you're a little bit down about it most of the time. When I'm down, I want to buy plants to make me feel better. And so it's just like a horrible like catch-22 type situation. We are not going to be shopping for plants, and that is why we're not going to be shopping for plants. And I don't know when we're going to actually shop for plants again. But the whole thing, just like I said, had me feeling a little bit down, had me like questioning next steps, like all kinds of things. And I decided, why don't we just do a repot and chat video today? Because I do think we need to repot my string of hearts, and I'll explain more about why here in a second. But I felt like just repotting and kind of talking out everything that's been going through my head with you guys might be a good way for me to decompress, and you guys might have like some ideas or thoughts that, you know, might help me out. So I think that's what we're gonna do today. And so the string of hearts here, you guys, I talked to you a while back about how I was struggling with staying on top of the watering on this plant, and I was starting to get a lot of like yellowing leaves and leaves falling off. And I had set a reminder in my phone to check on this plant like twice a week now to make sure that I was catching it before it was like going too far in between waterings. And I have gotten on top of watering it correctly, but I am still getting some yellow leaf situations and leaves falling off. And so just like that right there, that one just fell off. And so I am starting to think that perhaps it's just a bit root bound and in need of a repot. And I can see the tubers up in here. Get it off of its little stand I gave it there because it always wants to sit on its own vines. But I can start to see right now these tubers up in the top are just getting like ginormous, and there's a lot of them, and some of them are really close to the edge of the pot. So I really am thinking that perhaps the reason I'm still getting yellowing leaves and leaf loss is because that it is root bound and needs to be repotted. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this hanger cut off real quick first, and then we'll work at trying to get this thing out of the pot. And I am gonna be repotting this into just a store-bought cacti and succulent soil mix. And honestly, guys, when I was prepping for this video to do this, it dawned on me that when I gave y'all in a recent video an update on the string of dolphins plant that I've been rehabbing, I forgot to give you guys an update on the soil experiment, because honestly, I kind of just forgot that I did a soil experiment with those until I was prepping for this video. Let me move this somewhere safe where I won't accidentally knock it off and break it. But yeah, so I was running a soil experiment on the string of dolphins for you guys, and I think this all started back when I recorded my soil mixes video for you guys, because I think I was talking about I use Bonsai Jack's gritty mix for my true succulents and like cacti type plants. I use that by itself, but I wanted to kind of experiment with store-bought cacti and succulent soil and that Bonsai Jack's gritty mix to see if one performed better than the other. And so that's what I did with these plants. Now, since I consider these succulent-esque, but not, they aren't as succulent as like my Echeveria or my Graptoveria or like a cacti. And what I mean by that is that they store water like that, but they aren't storing as much water as those plants. The leaves are not as big as those plants. So for this situation, I put this one in the store-bought cacti and succulent soil, and I put this one in a half and half mix of premium potting soil and my Bonsai Jack's gritty mix. And honestly, you guys, they performed about the same. Because I mean, as you can see, they're both filling in about the same amount. So they're both decent options. but I do have still some of the store-bought cacti and succulent mix, so we're going to use that for this guy today because this is also a semi-succulent plant, and looking at this, that's what this plant is already currently in. Anyways, so let's go. Oh, I lost a leaf. A good leaf. Not even a bad leaf. No. Okay, I'm gonna have to be more careful not to let him sit on himself. But I'm gonna go ahead and work on getting this plant out of this pot. And I'm telling you right now, I can feel like the tubers bulging the pot. So I think I'm gonna have to try and cut it off. But while I'm doing that, let me tell you a little bit more about what happened. So yeah, like I said, I'm kind of down about having lost this job. And I think it's for several reasons. One, I've been there for over 6 years. So, you know, it's a long time to be with a company. But then also the day before I lost my job was Valentine's Day. And I was actually thinking to myself that I finally kind of felt like I had found my new normal post-divorce. Why doesn't this want to cut, you guys? Woo, okay, there we go. Man, that cracked it all the way down. I can't believe it was that hard to cut it. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So yeah, the day before that was Valentine's Day, and I finally kind of was sitting there and thinking on Valentine's Day that I felt like I had started to finally find my new normal post-divorce. And I do realize that that might seem like it's been a long time and I should have found that earlier for some people. But honestly, you know, I mean, I was in that relationship for like 15 plus years. And so, yeah, it took me a while to get back to figuring out who I am living on my own and feeling like I had found my new normal. So I was actually pretty happy on Valentine's Day, even though, you know, I didn't have a Valentine's Day date or anything like that, but I felt fine with that. And once again, was kind of like, all right, I finally feel like I have found my new normal. And then I wake up the next morning and lose my job and was like, really? Really? This is just what the universe is going to do to me now? And so, yeah, I think that was another reason that I was really kind of upset about it, more so than I guess normally would have been. Oh yes, this plant is definitely root bound. My goodness. That definitely could account for why we are having the yellowing leaves. And I don't know if you guys can see, but those giant tubers that were bulging out the pot, they're like all over the place. So we are definitely going to be taking this up into, I have an 8-inch pot here. Ignore all the masking tape on here, you guys. I used it for an experiment propagating a plant a long time ago, and I tried to peel that off earlier and it's really stuck on there, so it's staying there. So we're going to take that up this up into this 8-inch pot from the 6-inch pot. It is still pretty moist, so I am not going to be watering it right away after this for sure. I kind of wish it was a little bit drier when I decided to do this, but once again, I need to decompress and talk things out with you guys over this whole situation from this week. But let me get our other stuff out of the way here. And then I'm gonna move this guy gently off to the side and get my other tray out here. And we're gonna put the pot here and start filling this up with that cacti and succulent soil, like I mentioned. Okay, so yeah, I think that's why I'm feeling a little bit more down about this, but also, you know, it's just kind of upsetting me because I also feel like I've found a good groove between doing YouTube and working my day job. And now it's like, that whole groove has been completely thrown off because I've got to go try and find a new job. Then once I get that new job, I don't know what that new job is going to be yet. I don't know what the hours are going to be. I don't know if it's going to require me to work, you know, more hours over like 40 or whatever than the job I had. You know, it's all kind of up in the air. So I kind of feel like it's just going to throw the whole groove off, and I'm trying not to let it. But I mean, just even having to look for a new job is so time consuming. Like, ugh, don't even get me started. And then to top it all off, you guys, the next day I started trying to work on updating my resume, and my personal laptop is a mess. I don't know what the deal is. I don't use it that often because I have my work laptop and it's lighter and easier to use and faster. And so I think I just went too long without it getting updated. And so like I've spent like 3 days just trying to get my personal laptop to work. And so that in and of itself was time consuming and annoying. And then I did apply for a job yesterday and it took me almost an hour. I forgot how long sometimes those job applications online take. It's crazy. And then less than an hour after that, I got a, sorry, but we're going to look at other people dismissal. I'm like, really? Very frustrating. So I'm just trying to like adjust to having to deal with all of that. But you know, the thing is there's also the whole way that the getting let go thing went down, you guys, like, it was weird. It was really weird. I'm definitely not going to try to break this up, you guys. These are very fine roots and they are very entangled in there. So we're just going straight into this pot as is. Let me see about our positioning. I think we need a little bit more soil in there. But yeah, the whole thing was weird. So I honestly, you guys, have never been told like, oh, we're having to let you go. We're having to furlough people, because I've been furloughed before. And things like that. I've never had it done where my boss wasn't part of it. And this time my boss wasn't part of it. The whole situation was very bizarre. It was a girl from HR. I think she's like the vice president of HR. But I mean, I've had some email communications with her, but other than that, it's not like I've ever really talked to her a lot or anything. It was her, and then it was my boss's new boss. Might be a little bit too much soil now. Let me take a little more out. But it was my boss's new boss, and that guy's only been my boss's boss since late December. And I've never met the man. I have never talked to the man. I have never exchanged emails with the man. I literally never laid eyes on him until I answered the phone when they called me to let me go. So I thought that was a very bizarre. And then the other thing, you guys, and you know, when in the moment you get really emotional, so you're just trying to hold it together and you don't think about certain things, but they had said, you know, we needed to make financial cuts. And they had said as part of those financial cuts, I'm just going to start filling this back in around now, you guys. But as part of those financial cuts, they had said that they were going to cut back on like third-party services. And so I'm in charge of our product information management system, or I guess I should say I was in charge of it. And that is a third-party service. And so when they were telling me this, they were presenting it like they were going to do away with that system. And at the time, like, once again, just trying to hold my emotions together on the phone with them, I didn't clearly think through everything in my head, or I would have asked questions. And honestly, I'm pretty sure I know what the answers I would have gotten were. And basically, you guys, I don't think they realized what they just did. So I'm the only person who really knows how to use that system. I was the only person managing that system, and they were acting like they're going to do away with the system. But the more I thought about it, they can't do away with the system. The system is tied to their e-commerce websites, which make them millions and millions of dollars. And so you do away with the system, nobody can buy anything on your websites, and then you can't make money. And the thing is once again, I've never met or spoken to that man who let me go, my boss's boss. And so I don't even know how he knows what my job was or what I did, because this company, just a reminder, acquired us. Oh, it's a little over a year ago now. They acquired our company. Well, they didn't have a product information management system themselves. They never had one before. And what I have learned since we were acquired is nobody at that company knows what that system is or how it gets used or what all it can do. And so this man probably has no clue what I do. He has no clue that he can't just get rid of that system. And by the time they realize they can't get rid of that system, I mean, well, you've already let me go. I don't think you're going to like reach out and be like, oops, sorry, we messed up. We didn't understand what you do. We need you back, if you know what I mean. So just thinking about that after the fact, I was like, man, I should have asked for clarification on if they were actually going to get rid of that system, and been like, well, you do realize you can't get rid of that system, right? And if you let me go, who's going to manage that for you? Because nobody else has ever done it at your company, and nobody else is familiar enough with the system to know how to do it. So yeah, I really should have said all of that. And it's just, I don't know. Hindsight 2020, you know. Like I said, I was just trying to hold my emotions together in the moment. So part of me, or some of my friends, are like, you know, they might still come back to you and be like, oh crap, we do still need you. But honestly, I feel like this company is way too prideful for that. I think they wouldn't want to admit that they made a mistake. So, you know, if it happens, it happens. But I'm not holding, you know, any hope for that. But yeah, so that whole situation was just a little bit bizarre. And then my boss did finally reach out to me. Later on, he called me and was like, he was ticked off that he wasn't involved in it and he didn't understand why. And he kept telling me like, it's probably a blessing in disguise because you're probably the most underutilized person in this company. And that is what every single other person said to me too. Like, they were all like, you know, you're one of the most underutilized people. And honestly, you guys, that made me a little bit even more like upset, because I'm like, if I'm so underutilized and I have so many things I can do, why didn't you just repurpose me somewhere else? Because my boss actually lost his position too. However, he didn't lose his job. They just moved him to be the director of a different department. And his boss's boss, they did the same thing. They made his position obsolete, but they moved him to another department. So if I'm so like, underutilized, why didn't you just move me somewhere else? But I digress. So basically, you guys, that's what happened. And I'm just trying to now kind of make some decisions. This is so hard to do, you guys. I need to get soil under this other side, but all the vines are in the way. I was gonna try to just flip them straight over this way, but I don't know. Okay, yep, that's working. We can do that. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna rotate around, flip around. This thing is gonna be a tangled mess when we're done, but that's okay. If I got to spend hours untangling it, I'll spend hours untangling it, even though it's hours I probably should spend hunting for a new job. But anyways, so yeah, I don't know, you guys. To be honest with you, I am slightly, and this is not just from this is just how I've been feeling for like years and years now. I'm kind of a little bit disenchanted with the corporate world. Like, it's just annoying. And, maybe it's because I've never worked for a really big, good company like a Google or something, I guess. Although technically I kind of am working for Google now because Google's who pays me for YouTube. But you know what I mean. I'm not like working in the corporate office of Google and, everybody talks about how great their benefits are and the environment and culture and everything is. I've never worked for a company like that. And even though this company that I just got let go from, the company that acquired us, is like a multi-billion-dollar company, definitely didn't feel like we were working for a multi-billion-dollar company, honestly. But yeah, I'm just a little bit disenchanted with it. And so now I'm like questioning things. I'm like, do I get another marketing job? Do I perhaps try to just build up my fitness clientele, my personal training clientele to a level that I can survive off of doing that and the little bit of money I'm making off of YouTube right now? And honestly, you guys, if this had happened like a year from now, this channel would be more developed and, maybe it would be happening at a point where I was like, you know what, I can just not worry about getting another quote unquote day job. I can do YouTube. I can pick up, my fitness clientele and I can be fine. But right now, like, I just feel like it's going to be tough to do that, to try to get that clientele built up and get it built up quick enough and all of that good stuff. And, I got to worry about figuring out my benefits, my insurance and all that good stuff that's not fun to deal with as well. And so, yeah, I'm kind of like, I kind of like feel like I'm at a crossroads. I'm like, what do I do? Because my goal was to quit my day job eventually anyway, because I am getting disenchanted with the corporate world. But we weren't at that point of being able to do that yet. So now I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just so torn on like what the right path to take is. And that's kind of why I've been kind of also down the last like few days since this happened. It's just, there's a lot to figure out. There's a lot of numbers to run, but there's also just so many different like paths that I could take. But some of them, it's like, oh man, it's going to be a stretch to be able to make enough money. And can I do it? I like to think that when put to the test and put under pressure, I would make it happen. But the fact that I might not make it happen is scary. And so that makes me want to just go find another corporate job, if that makes sense. I don't know. Has anybody else ever had this kind of situation and gone through this crazy thought process in their brain? If you have and have any advice or tips for me, please comment below and let me know. But I need to grab a little bit more soil. I didn't have quite enough to fill this in, and then we'll finish getting this filled in. Okay, we're good to go. We got more soil. So yeah, that's what's been happening. I know if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Aloha Plant Life, you would have seen my post the day it happened about how it had been a difficult day. If you saw that post, this is what happened. That's why it was a difficult day. And I've honestly just been a little bit unmotivated for everything in my life, including like just filming YouTube videos, like or planning them. I don't know. Like I said, it just felt like everything, just a wrench got thrown in everything and everything was jacked up. And so I'm trying to get myself remotivated. That's part of the reason that I was like, I knew I needed to potentially replant this plant or repot this plant today. That's why I was like, look, let's just film this video. It wasn't the video I had planned. It wasn't even the next video I had planned, honestly. But I was like, let's just do it so that I can get back into the groove, right, of doing at least this. And I made a plan for, here's what you're going to do in terms of job searching and applying, because even though I'm not sure what I want to do, I know the longer I go without like searching and applying for, you know, another corporate job, like the harder it's going to be to get a job. And right now, a lot of places are laying people off. So I feel like it's just going to be hard in general to get another job. So yeah, so I'm definitely going to still apply and everything. But in the meantime, I need to kind of figure out, like I said, what I actually want to do, so that if I get an interview and everything and they offer me the job, I'm not like, I don't want to accept a job and then immediately be like, wait, I changed my mind. Not going to take that, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of where I'm at. And actually, right before this video, I decided I'm going to go ahead and start planning the other video, not the shopping video. Obviously, we aren't going to be buying plants for a while, you guys. But in the other video I wanted to do upcoming for you guys is a video on understanding leaves on plants, and when things go wrong with the leaves or the leaves are doing something weird, what is your plant trying to tell you? And so I had kind of already started a list a long time ago of like the different things leaves can do. And I just need to finish like planning out and make sure I've covered every single, like, this means this and this is why kind of a thing. You guys know what I mean. I just got to finish getting it all planned out. And there were quite a few things on the list. I ended up being more things than I originally thought it was going to be off the top of my head, but I really want it to be a comprehensive guide for you guys. So I started for like half an hour. I started planning that before I started doing this video, because I figured if I started doing that and then I came and did this, I might get to the point where I was like, oh, I don't even want to go film this video right now because I really am excited about planning this out and I want to keep planning it. And that's what happened. So I'm super excited after this to go back to planning that, which means I'll be super excited to actually film it tomorrow or the next day. I haven't decided exactly when. It just depends on kind of like what's going on in my life. And yeah, so that is hopefully the next video you will be getting after this video. And I am just going to try to keep proceeding forward like that, just kind of making myself do one thing each day, even if it's like I have no motivation, just start it. Because honestly, you guys, I'm the type of person that when I start something, like I like to keep working on it until I can finish it. So if I can actually get myself to start it, I'll be fine. And it will help stop me from being like just in a Debbie Downer mode over my situation all the time, if that makes sense. But right now I have just about got this tucked away. And I forgot to mention this at the start of this video, but there is one other kind of project we are going to do related to this plant here in a second. Let me just get a little bit more soil over here and I think we will be good to go, and hopefully this plant will be much happier right now. All the plants we repotted recently in my 1-year YouTube anniversary repot and shop video, those are all, they're doing fabulous. The Calathea warska has started to push out so many more new leaves. It is ridiculous. So definitely a good thing that we did that. All right, let me get stuff out of the way here. Like I said, we are going to be nice and tangled, I'm sure, right now. Yeah, totally tangled. That's okay. Just happens when you do string of hearts plants, especially. Where's this one attached? What is going on? Where's the end of it? I see you. Unhook yourself. There we go. I'm not the kind of person that feels the need to have them all like individually separated into strings. Like I kind of am fine with them like getting a little bit entangled. Maybe not this much, but you know, like I said, we'll be able to fix it. But what I want to do, so because I have this ridiculous masking tape on the outside of this pot that isn't wanting to come off, and this isn't exactly the prettiest pot ever anyways, what I want to do is I want to take, oh, we lost another leaf. I want to take this basket that I believe I'd mentioned to you guys. My friends Debbie and Donna had given me birthday presents and they were in this, and I said this would make a great cover pot. It is the perfect size for this pot. So I want to go ahead and convert this into a cover pot. And the way I do rope basket things like this, you guys, the way I convert them into cover pots is I actually hot glue a plastic liner inside so that if there is water after I water this plant that's going to create moisture in here, it's not going to wet down the rope and then the rope's going to get all moldy or something like that. So that's what we're going to do first. And I guess really actually first I should remove this tag from this since it's still on here. And then once we get that in there and we get the plant in there, we're going to do a bit of a hanger situation on it. And I think, yes, this, I already at some point had poked holes into this pot for something else. So we're probably just going to run rope through there, maybe. And I'll explain once we get to that point. But let me get this thrown away. Let me get our hot glue gun plugged in, and we will get to work on converting this into a cover pot. Okay, you guys, so I do have some plastic here, and I just got this at, I think, Home Depot or Lowe's. I used it in the upstairs bedroom that I turned into a workout room. I put this between the carpet and the rubber flooring that I put in there to protect the carpet so that if I ever convert that back to a bedroom, I'm not having to replace the carpet. So I'm just going to get this pushed down in here and try to make sure that it is centered. And once I feel like I've got it positioned well, we'll start gluing it to the actual basket with the hot glue. Okay, I think we're pretty good in here. So basically, I'm just going to start somewhere, and a little bit below the top of the pot, I'm just going to put like a tiny bead of glue and press the plastic to it. Now, you don't have to like do a line of glue all the way around. You can just do it in a few strategic places. And if you do think you might want to use whatever basket you're using for something else later on down the line, and you don't want to have like glue all up inside of it, I would definitely recommend it just doing it in a few places here and there versus like sealing it all the way around. We are taking the plastic up high enough that you don't need to seal it all the way around. We're really just trying to protect the lower part of it from any kind of water. So I'm just going to keep working around here until I've got this all glued in. Alright, you guys, and then once I do have it glued to the basket, as you can probably see here, there is some bits that are kind of, folding over. I don't want those like hanging out, sticking out like that. So what I'll do is I'll put another bead of glue on the actual plastic itself and press that down as well so that everything is nice and smooth around the inside. So I'm just going to do that real quick. Alright, you guys, so we've got that in there now, and I'm just going to trim around slightly below the top of the rim of the basket here to get all of this excess off. I might need to invest in a new pair of scissors, you guys. These things are not feeling very sharp. I think they're kind of getting like warped and separated. It's making it a little bit difficult to get this done. Okay, I'm getting a different pair of scissors. This is driving me crazy. All right, technically these belong to the company that just let me go. Alright, you guys, I think that looks pretty good. And if it is a little bit like jagged around the top, don't worry about it because you aren't going to be able to see it really once you put the pot in there. But that's got us nice and squared away. So let's go ahead and slip our plant in there. And that is a lovely fit right there. Now, obviously, due to the size of this pot, it's not going to cover this top part, but I'm not that worried about it because this still looks better than what we were looking at a second ago. And once I can get the plant kind of sorted out and splayed around, it will cover it up some more as well. But I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but I do have 3 holes that are already poked in this from a previous plant. So sometimes what I'll do is I will run string through those holes similar to what I had on the pot that we took this out of. But I will only do that if this cover pot is a very tight fit and won't fall off. And as you can see right now, as I'm picking this up, it's coming off. So there's several things that we can do here. We could do what we did with the daisy phylum, which is where we just put one under this way, and then we put one under running the other way. And that became our hanging apparatus as it was. Now, the big thing here, you guys, is it just needs, we need to do it in a way that when I need to water this, I can take this pot out of the cover pot easily without the hanger situation being an issue. And so that's kind of why I'm trying to think like what the best way to do this is going to be. Now, if I do this the way we did the sedum daisy phylum, that can easily be taken off and drop down for me to get this out to water it. But the only thing that concerns me about doing that on this one is on the sedum daisy phylum, we were using the nursery pot, and the nursery pot kind of has, you know, natural grooves built into the bottom where that string can sit and it won't slide one way or the other. So I'm not at risk of the plant like coming out of the hanger and falling onto the floor, if you know what I mean. So this, obviously we don't have that capability. Another thing that we could potentially do, let me look at this, may not be an option on this one. This rope is really tight together. Okay, let me check. I'm gonna use my handy dandy awl to see if I can't separate the rope easy enough. Oh, I can. I think this is what we're gonna do, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna take this guy back out of the pot. So because this is just rope wrapped around and it's actually been sewn together, sometimes when I get pots like these, it's been glued together, makes things a little bit more complicated. But this just has stitches in between, which means these are separate pieces of rope, which means I can basically use this. Actually, I'm gonna go grab a sewing needle, you guys. I could try to feed it through just holding this, using this to kind of create a gap, but I think it's gonna be easier if I just grab one of my larger sewing needles and actually use that to thread this through beneath the first layer of the rope. And then that way we can have it secured to this, and I'll show you how I'm gonna do it so it's gonna be easy for us to get this out. Like when I need to water it, it's not gonna be a hassle. Like macrame hangers. Macrame hangers and we're at a crossroads because they're kind of annoying me. They make things difficult to water, but let me go grab that needle and I'll be right back. Okay guys, I've got the sewing needle. I'm gonna get this run through here. And honestly, what I would probably do at some point in the future is get some string like this, some more like thick craft string like this that's closer to this color or black, because I think that's gonna look better. But for now, like I just wanna be able to get this plant hung back up. And, you know, once again, this was not my planned project for the day, but it's helping you guys. I'm already feeling a little bit more cheered up. So, you know, I hope you guys are enjoying this video. It's definitely being helpful to me, and we're doing some fun, exciting things that you might not have done before. Okay, so I've got it semi through here. It's trying to unravel itself, but that's okay. So like I said, I'm just gonna find spot in between the rope there with this, and I don't want to accidentally like push through anywhere else per se. Not that it's that big of a deal if I do, but I got through the two pieces there pretty easily. And we're gonna pull this through. And then I can take it off of the needle now. And we're gonna tie this off down here at the bottom. Actually, I might do this a little bit differently because I feel like this is so chunky, the rope on here, that having this just as like one string like that's gonna look kind of funky. You know, if I really wanted to get fancy, I could actually braid something. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Not happening today. But I am going to do it as a double string like this, because I think that double string is going to look a little bit better and less like odd than doing the one string. So we're just going to bring this through, and I really should have paid attention to how high I want this hung, huh, you guys? Let's see. Let me go double check, because I want it to be level. The other string of hearts is in the far window and I want them to be hanging at the same height. So let me check the measurement real quick and then we'll figure it out. All right, you guys, in order to get it right, considering that it's going to be angled in towards the thing it's hanging from, and to make sure we have enough to tie off, I think we need roughly about 16 before tie off point. So yeah, let's just roll with that. If I need to adjust it, I can adjust it, but better to have it too long because that's going to be easier to adjust than too short. So let me get this matched up with that, and we will cut it and then tie it off. Okay. And that gives me a couple of inches to be able to tie off, so I'm not just trying to tie it off super short or anything where it's hard to tie. And we are going to double knot this just to be safe. We're going to try to double knot this just to be safe. All right, there we go. Okay, so that's what that kind of looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to redo this. Let me think. I think I'm gonna do it 4 times, you guys. I was questioning if maybe I wanted to just do it 3, but I kind of like the way 4 looks on hangers better than 3. So I'm just gonna keep working through this till I've got all 4 on there, and then we will put the plant in there and we will go hang it up and see how it looks. Alright, you guys, I think I've got this good to go, and so I'm not going to actually attach all of these at the top. I'm just going to hang them individually over the hook that we're going to hang it from, so that way whenever I need to water it, once I take it down off the hook, I can just open these up and take the plant out, and then I'll just have to carefully like kind of restring these through the vines or whatnot. But I think this is going to be the best bet here, and it's going to make this plant look a lot prettier than just hanging out in this nonsense. So let's get this plant in here. Whoop. Oh, almost dropped it, you guys. That could have been bad. And I'm going to deal with like untangling after this video. It's going to take a while. But right now, like I said, let's just get this into the living room and hang it up on its hanger and see how it's looking. And we'll just pretend and envision how it's going to look when it's all splayed out around and not all tangled up. And there she is, and I think that looks pretty good, you guys. I mean, like I said, I'll probably get some different colored string at some point in time in the future, but definitely an improvement over not having a cover pot on it. I'm gonna take her back into the kitchen so that, like I said, after this video, I can get her untangled, and then hopefully I'll be able to splice in some final footage for you guys of how she looks post untangling. Well, all right, you guys, thanks for letting me decompress to you guys, and I know I'll be fine. I'll get through this phase of my life and I'll figure out this whole job situation. This is just like an adaptation phase that you have to go through right after something like this happens, and it's never any fun. But at least I was able to film this video with you guys today because this has definitely helped to cheer me up. And now I'm going to go work on finishing the planning for the next video on understanding what signs your leaves are trying to tell you. And then after that, I'll do the untangling of this poor guy who definitely got way more tangled throughout this process. But thank you again for joining me today, you guys. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to click that like and or subscribe button down below. And I look forward to seeing you again the next time. Aloha!